This video is dedicated to the memory of David Crosby, 1941 to 2023. Good morning, everybody. We're going to continue the Woodstock review series today with our look at the movie. It was released in 1970, but the actual festival took place in August of 1969 over 3 days at Max Yasgur's farm. And some of the acts that appeared at Woodstock include, of course, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. 10 years after, Richie Havens, John Sebastian, and many, 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 many more. Now, the acts that appeared in the movie are not all the acts that appeared at the festival. A lot of the acts that appeared at the festival didn't appear in the movie, including the Grateful Dead, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Although Crosby, Stills, and Nash did appear in the movie. The story behind that is that Neil didn't want to be filmed, as part of the movie, and so they cut him out. And actually, the announcer Chip Monk, you can hear the obvious edit when he announces Crosby, Stills, and Nash, because there's an abrupt cutoff right before he says Neil's name. And but my first experience with the Woodstock movie came when I was little. I was staying with my grandparents, and we went to the video store to rent a movie, and somehow I convinced my grandparents to rent me Woodstock. And so we got it back to the house, and I started watching it, and then my parents showed up, and they found out, and they wouldn't let me finish watching it because I was underage, because the movie is rated R. But I have since seen it countless times, and the story of Woodstock, the site where it ended up was not the site that they had originally chosen. They had, the organizers, Michael Lang among them, first chose a site in Wallkill, which is near New York, and so that site fell through, and so they chose Max Yasgur's farm And I love Woodstock. Of course, one of my favorite performances is Crosby, Stills, Nash Young. Now, another story about the Crosby, Stills, Nash Young performance, the performance of the song Sea of Madness, it's on the Woodstock soundtrack, was not taken from Woodstock. It was taken from the Fillmore East. And I suspect that that's the same recording from the live album that was released a couple years ago, Crosby, Stills, Nash Young Live at the Fillmore, 1969. And so, I don't know why they did that, and because it is kind of misleading. And a couple of years ago, for I think the 50th anniversary of the festival, they started releasing all the performances on CD in a box set. Those included the Joan Baez performances, or the Joan Baez performance, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young's, or not CSN, Creedence Clearwater Revival, 10 Years After, Melanie. So they started releasing all of the Woodstock performances, both in a box set format and also individually on Spotify. So if you get a chance or have a mind to check out some of those performances, they are fantastic. Especially like Sly and the Family Stone. Another favorite performance of mine is Sly and the Family Stone. I love their version of Higher. Wanna Take Me Higher, and all that. That's another performance that was eventually released in its entirety in the box set. Now, like I said, Woodstock was released in 1970. But another story is that Joni Mitchell wrote the theme song to Woodstock, which was eventually recorded by Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, but Joni didn't perform at Woodstock. But she did appear on the Dick Cavett Show a couple days later and talk about the festival, with Crosby, Stills, Nash Young and the Jefferson Airplane, and actually CSN was wearing or at least Crosby and Stills were wearing the same exact, garb or stage clothes that they wore at the festival, because I think they had just gotten back from the festival, and you can actually see that clip on YouTube of them on the Dick Cavett Show with Joni and Grace from the Jefferson Airplane talking about the festival, and Steven does 4 and 20. But if you haven't seen Woodstock, please check it out. It is really the template for what rock festivals would become, you know, in years to come, and they have tried somewhat successfully to repeat Woodstock. Uh, they did it in 1989, which as the Woodstock 20-year reunion, which we will be, which that will be the last portion of the Woodstock review series, which we will be doing a little farther down the road. And of course, they did it in 1994 with Woodstock 94, when a lot of the same performers performed at Woodstock. That one was actually good. Woodstock 99 was a mess. And actually, as you recall, we did a review of a documentary called Trainwreck, which was made about Woodstock 99. And that was a very apt description of Woodstock 99, which was a train wreck. And so, but if you haven't checked out Woodstock, please do. You will absolutely love it. I give this 5 stars. A note on the release date of the DVD. I was unable to find the release date of the DVD. However, it was probably released sometime in 2009 to coincide with the 40th anniversary of the Woodstock Festival. Related releases. Shot and produced by Annabelle. Audio and video provided by WeVideo and the YouTube Music Library. Photos taken from Google Images. Screen recording taken from Discogs. Achieved using iPicky.com.